today. So the first question says, Eric solved the problem below, but his answer does not match Queen Foreman's answer. Interesting. In which step did Eric's first error occur? So when we've talked about this before, we said anytime I want to find an error, I need to take that same problem and I need to rework it out. And I'm going to do so right alongside it so that I can check step by step. So I'm going to just rewrite it so that I have the same things. 1/2 times 20 subtract from the product of 5 and 2 plus 4. Perfect. So when I go through this, we know that when I'm doing these, we're doing order of operations. So we're thinking GEMDAS. So I'm looking at my groupings, my exponents, multiplication or division, and then addition and subtraction. When we have multiplication and division, doesn't matter. I don't always multiply first. I got to work it left to right. So if division comes first, I would divide first. Multiplication comes first, I'd multiply. And then the same thing with addition and subtraction. We're going to work it left to right. So when I look at this, first, do I have any groupings? And in this instance, I do. I have groupings around 20 subtracted from the product, or the product of 5 and 2 subtracted from 20. So hopefully what you notice is that you have two operations within the grouping. I have subtraction and multiplication. So I have to figure out which one I should do first. I'm not going to just go right across. I have to think about my order of operations. And if we look at GEMDAS, within that subtraction and multiplication, we see that multiplication comes before subtraction, so I'm going to actually multiply first. So 5 times 2 is 10, and then I need to drop everything else down to create an equivalent numerical expression. So first of all, because I didn't do anything with 20 yet, I need to drop down those groupings because I still have to complete this part of the operation first before I can move on. So you can see I've dropped everything else down. 1/2 times the difference of 20 and 10 added to 4. So again, go through GEMDAS. Do I have any more groupings? Yes, I still have groupings, so I need to perform that operation inside first. So 20 take away 10 leaves you with 10. And again, I'm going to drop everything else down to create an expression with that equivalent value. So I've performed all numbers within the grouping, so I don't need to drop down the groupings anymore. And I'm going to drop down 1/2 times 10 plus 4. So when I look at this, I have two operations left. I have multiplication and addition. And I need to decide, am I going to multiply first or add first? Right, I'm going to multiply first because I multiply or divide before I add or subtract. So 1/2 times 10, or half of 10, is 5, plus 4 would give us a value of 9. And you can see here that when Eric solved it, he did not get the same answer that Queen Foreman got. So let's look at it step by step. He definitely has, the first step is definitely the same because I just copied it. So here's going to be step 1. 1/2 times 15 times 2. Oh, that's not what I have. I don't have 15 times 2. I have 20 minus 10. So you can see what he did is he actually subtracted first instead of multiplying first. So his error was that he did not follow order of operations. He should have multiplied first, but instead chose to subtract first. So the error is actually in step 1. Hey, whoever just joined, what's up? Oh, let's go here. Let's go here to number 2. On number 2, hey, Sunny. Oh, and I love it because you have sun. And Sunny, if you could just bring some sun because this cold weather is no bueno. Okay, so the question says that Coach Barnes has a toolbox that can hold 720 units. The base of the toolbox the base of the tool base is 48 units squared. What is the height? So I know that he has a toolbox that can hold 720 cubic units and that the base is 48 units. What is the height? So when it's talking about cubic, that's 3. That's just going to be our total volume. And I know that volume is equivalent to length times width times height. Or I know that length times width is also my base, so base times height. In this instance, they give me a base, and they said it's 48. So I'm going to plug in 720 is equal to 48 times my height. So I need to figure out what can I multiply by 48 to get 720. So you have two options. You could just try to multiply 14 times 48, 15 times. Do you hear my kids? They're nuts. Give me a second here, guys. Hold on. All right, so the other choice that we have is that we can actually use our understanding between multiplication and division and rewrite it as division. So I can do 720 divided by 48. All right, I'll see you later. Good luck. And I'll see you tomorrow. So I can go ahead and rewrite this as division, and I can figure out 7 divided by 48. Oh, I can't do that. Can I do 72 divided into 48? Yeah, I can have 72 go into 48. So I'm going all the way to my tens place, and I need to figure out how many times can 48 go into 72. Let's see, if I doubled the 4, that would be 80. It would be more than 80, so too much, because this is kind of close to 50, and that would be kind of close to 100, not going to work. So only can go in one time. So when I subtract 48, that's going to leave me 12. Take away 8 is 4. Oh, I don't know why I did that. And then 6 take away 4 is 2. So how many times can 24, oh no, I need to drop down my 0 and now figure out how many times can about 48 go into 240. So I don't really know my multiples of 48, but I do know a compatible number of 50, right? I got 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300. And I want to figure out, well, first of all, between which two consecutive numbers it would lie between 240. And you'll see that it's between 200 and 250, my fourth multiple and my fifth multiple. So I now know it has to be a 4 or 5. It has to be between 4 or 5. So I think it's closer to the fifth multiple, 250. So I'm going to try that and see if it works. 5 times 8 is 40. Regroup my 4. And then 5 times 4 is 20 plus 4 more is 24. So you can see that when I rewrote this as division, I was able to find my missing dimension of my height. And so my height is equal to 15. Okay, let's move on. Third question. We're halfway there, guys. Hang tight. All right, so Sarah is packing 1-inch cubes into his... Okay, so when I look at this, Sarah's packing 1-inch cubes into a suitcase with a volume of, and I'm just going to kind of speed through here with cubes, 1,728. The height of the shoebox is 8 inches. Select all the following dimensions that could have a possible base. Whew. So I need to figure out, first of all, I need to figure out what is the base going to be. So I was given a volume and I was given a height. So I know that volume is equal to base times height.
What, Mama?
And I'm going to do 1,728 is equal to, my base I don't know, that's what I'm trying to solve for, times 8. So again, just as we did before, I can apply my understanding between multiplication and division, and I can rewrite it as division. 1,728 divided by 8. So can 1 be divided by 8? Nope. Can 17 go into 8? Or 8 go into 17? And that is yes. It can go in how many times? Right. It can go in 2 times because 2 times 8 is 16. And when I subtract that, I have 1 left over. So now I can move on to my tens place. So drop down my 2. And 8 can go into 12. Very good. 8 can go into 12 one time. And 8 times 1 means I'm going to subtract 8. When I take 12 and I subtract 8, I have?
Mommy,
Very good, I have 4 left over.
I don't know how to
Gonna go down to my next place. I'm going to drop down my 8, and now I want to figure out 8 can go into 48 how many times? 8 times what is 48? Right, 8 times 6 is 48, and so I have nothing left over. So all this tells me right here, when I look at my answer choices, none of these match. So what this does tell me is what the base is. So my base is equal to my length times my width. So you're going to go through here, which I'm not going to do with you. So I'm going to multiply and do these two numbers multiply together and get 216. There's some that you might be able to get rid of right away because they don't make sense, but I'm going to have you do that on your own. And then the last one you have is that Miss Martinkovic is assembling a cube cage for her dog. It has a height of 7. What is the volume? So you know that volume again is equal to length times width times height. And I know that it has a height of 7. But it doesn't tell me anything about my length and my width. The height of the cube. What do I know about a cube? Hopefully you recognize that a cube has equal lengths, so all 3 of these are going to be 7. So I want you to take a moment and try to multiply those two. 7 times 7 is 49. Now if you just stop there, you actually have marked your distractor because you failed to drop down and multiply by the 7. Now, hopefully you would recognize that these two are going to be too low because when I multiply this again, it's not going to work. So 7 times 9 is 63, and then 7 times 8 is 28, plus 6 more. It's going to give you a final answer of 343. All right, guys, go ahead, go back, rewatch. Make sure you watch Power 1 video, and I will see you tomorrow.